it's a question that I want to see if you can answer it. Here's my question. How do we pick our emotion and our objective? How do we pick our emotion and our objective? And if you don't know, just say, I don't know. Here is the way we pick it. This is so important, and I guarantee you, if you go into LA, go to a bar, talk to some actors, and you were to ask them, if you're playing a scene, how do you pick what the character's feeling and thinking? 9 out of 10 of them are going to say exactly what you just said. They're going to say, well, I think about what he or she is thinking and feeling in the scene, in that moment. You know? Mm-hmm. Okay? The answer to the question is this. I think about how the scene should look.
To the audience?
Yes.
Yeah.
As if I'm watching it on TV. And I go, I'm watching it play out, and what emotion and objective is going to give me what I see. So I see a character who's just had great sex, who's living in the moment, she's out of breath, living like free, totally happy and exhilarated. So yeah, part of it may be me thinking a little bit about what I'm thinking and feeling, but I know what I need to see. So that's how I'm going to pick my emotion and my objective. I'm going to say, well, what I see is somebody who's free, my hair is all over the place, I'm like disheveled, had the greatest sex of my life. So I got to pick an emotion and objective, and I also have to remember that I'm on the run. And you know, we've been living this sort of life in the moment.
Yeah.
All of those things factor into how I pick my emotion and my objective. Mm-hmm. So based on that, that's how I pick it. So for example, my emotion might be ecstasy. Because that may give me what I think I should look like. Mm-hmm. Exhilaration.
Yeah.
Complete and total desire. Lust. That may cover certain bases at the beginning of the scene. Chanel. So you're watching the scene play out. You're wondering where she's been. You're at breakfast. Mm-hmm. She walks in, and you look at her, and she looks different. So how should you look?
Suspicion, I think.
Okay, so you think that when you watch it, you see somebody who looks kind of suspicious?
Yeah.
Okay, so anything else described?
Confused.
Confused. Yeah. Curious. Yeah. So I like those choices. So whatever we decide, the emotion and the objective is gonna cover as many of those things as possible. There is a third thing that's gonna help us accomplish those things, and that's the who am I. We haven't covered that yet. We will get into that eventually. That's like the character's perspective, the character's personality, how she carries herself, walks, talks, and all that kind of stuff. We'll deal with that at some point. But most of the stuff we're going to try to cover with our emotion, our objective. We know a lot of it is covered. Which emotion do you like, for example, from the ones we talked about?
Just now?
Yeah.
I would say, we're talking about from like lust, desire.
Lust, desire, exhilaration, joy. Exhilaration. So for now, you're watching TV, and you've given your emotion exhilaration into your character, correct? Mm-hmm. So that's going to cover certain bases, and now we're going to have to pick an objective that's going to cover the rest of them, the other things that we need to see in you. So for you, you're saying, where's she been? I don't understand, right? So you're saying, my emotion is suspicion, which may work very well. Now, here's my issue with that. Just keep in mind, it depends on how you play it. Because it could work really well, because suspicion could almost be like motherly. Mm-hmm. It could almost be like fatherly, like why are you out so late? Mm-hmm. But it also may come off as a little aggressive.
Yeah.
Like she's a villain.
Yeah, I did feel like aggressive.
And do we want that? I don't know if we want that. Is it more that I'm worried? Yeah. Like, where's she been? And you look different. So would suspicion work? Possibly. It depends on what objective we pick, because if you pick the right objective, it would counterbalance the emotion of suspicion. Does that make sense? So, for example, if you picked the emotion of suspicion, you're watching it play out. You see a character who looks very suspicious of her friend, wondering what she's been doing, where she is, why she looks so weird. So you see it play out. What objective would you pick to cover the rest of the things that we should see in you? What did you pick?
Curious?
What? No,
Like,
objective. I'm saying your objective.
To figure it out.
To figure it out. Okay. So my emotion is suspicion,
Yeah.
and my objective is to figure it out. Now, there is a way to pull that off if we cover it with the who am I part. But since we're not dealing with that, if I have the emotion of suspicion and I'm thinking to figure it out, how do you think I'm going to come off? Think about this for a moment. I have suspicion going in my body. So I'm suspicious of you, right? Just watch me for a second. And now I'm thinking to figure it out. Thelma, where have you been? Now, how do I come off?
Aggressive.
Yeah.
Huh?
Aggressive.
Aggressive. Is that a good thing?
Like you're not best friends. Like
Okay,
you
is
don't
that
care
good?
about the person.
No.
Do you think
Maybe
you're
just
gonna
more concerned.
do you think you're gonna book the role that way?
No.
No, they're gonna think, wow.
Line up.
Like, well, it could be lighten up, but it's also aggressive and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
So maybe a good way to go would be the emotion of anxiety. Because anxiety is going to make you nervous
Yeah.
and confused and not understanding, like, where have you been?
Yeah.
And that may work with to figure it out
Yeah.
Yeah.
in a way that makes you non-aggressive. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does.
So again, we're taking into account how you need to look. It's not just the first instinct of what am I thinking and feeling. Here's the key, and please write this down later. You don't have to write it down now, but when we're done, summation, right? A paragraph of summation we talked about. When we're picking our emotion and our objective, we don't ask, what am I feeling and thinking in the scene? We ask, what should I feel and think in the scene in order to make it work? What should I be feeling and thinking? Not what am I feeling and thinking, and that is our difference. So, you've picked the emotion of exhilaration. So what do you think a good objective would be to cover what we should see in you in the scene, Ashley? So you got exhilaration going. So we see somebody filled with exhilaration all over the place. She's so happy. She just had this great sex, whatever. What would be a good objective to cover what else we need to see in her? What objective did you pick?
Well, that was wrong.
Well, what did you pick?
I had picked, it was wrong.
So here's what I used to do in Don Richardson's class, the guy who wrote that book. What I would do, and this really helped me a lot, and I suggest you guys do the same thing, because this is how I learned it. This is how I can teach it so well. I used to write down what emotion and objective I picked. And then what I would do is I would write down what he told me. And then I would write down why.
Right.
So it's not just about me giving you the right answer. It's understanding the mechanism of how I got there.
Right.
Okay? So what would be a good objective? We're just going to assume, you don't have to tell me what it was, it's wrong. But what do you think a good objective could be? How about to not lose it?
Oh, that's kind of what I had.
Well, that could work very
I
well.
want to keep cool.
Well, to keep cool could also
together.
work. To keep it together could work well.
Yeah.
Because here we have somebody who's freaking out, just trying to stay calm because she's had the greatest sex in her life.
Yeah, see, that's what I had.
Well, that worked.
Okay.
So, give yourself some credit.
Okay.
So I want you guys to work on it with these emotions and objectives. Now, I'm not going to tell you what they are, but keep in mind your emotions and your objectives are going to change in the scene.
Yes, towards the end, you mean?
Well, they're going to change when new information or a new event occurs.